Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, you're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Former Commissioner for Information, Dr. Austin Tam-George, is our guest tonight. Now, Dr. Tam-George, some of the biggest IPOB protests happened in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. What was the take? And I don't know if there's going to be a different take. You know, what was the take of government as at that when you were in government, and what is your personal take?
Well, first of all, when I was there, I no longer speak for the government. But when I was there, the government made it clear that, you know, we believe in the unity of the country. Not because Nigeria, as presently constituted, is perfect. Some people sometimes say that Nigeria is an artificial creation. But which country, which nation on earth is not an artificial creation? I mean, there's no country that dropped directly from the skies. And so we believe in the corporate existence of the country, not because of its perfection, but because we believe it is possible to get justice, to get egalitarianism, to get equal citizenship and equal opportunities for all within the country. We do not believe that seceding from the country is necessarily the solution to the kind of problems and tensions that we face. And so when I was in government, the government made it very clear that while we supported agitations for egalitarianism and justice and fair play and equal citizenship, we believe that those kind of debates should happen within the corporate existence, within the concept of the corporate existence of the country. So the kind of separatist agitations that we are seeing are not things that the government, while I was there, supported. And even now that I'm out of office, I've heard the governor speak very unequivocally about his support for the corporate existence of the country. Not because what is happening within the country is totally acceptable to us. For instance, there have been all kinds of discussions about restructuring and federalism and how we need to rethink the structures of the country.
Which we will come to in a moment, because I'm going to ask you your thoughts on that. But then, how did the state government think that they should handle the protests as at that time?
No, I mean, the constitution of the country guarantees people to express disaffection in peaceful ways. And so if people felt that they needed to go to the streets, organize responsible, violence-free demonstrations, we couldn't stop that. While I was there, at least. And so what we always emphasized was, look, whatever we are doing, go about it in a very peaceable manner, but we will not tolerate violence. When there were specific instances where, some of these agitators committed acts of violence around the Oyibo area of Port Harcourt, we quickly informed the police to control the situation. This was the situation before I left the government. But we've seen, all kinds of separatist tendencies getting more and more life. And I think that we should be worried, not so much by the agitation as much as the fact that after 2 million people have been estimated to have died during the Civil War, 50 years after, we should be worried that not the agitation of Biafra, but the idea of Biafra still have resonance for people in the East. I think that we seem to have won the war, but we lost the debate about equal citizenship. And that is why I suspect the Biafra rhetoric still resonates with a lot of people. We should be concerned about that.
So what are your thoughts now around the current call for restructuring? Some say it cannot be done without a referendum.
Well, a referendum is a democratic process. People will be able to ask and answer the question whether they want to remain in the country or not. I don't know how the question will be framed. But if you look at the pattern of citizenship across the world, you will see that when people recognize that, we have about 27 to 28 countries that constitute the European Union. We have about 50 states that constitute the United States of America. Russia has the largest landmass in the world. There's a lot that we can gain when we stay together. But we shouldn't stay together at all costs. We should stay together because there's a commitment, a rigorous commitment to egalitarianism, equal citizenship, equal opportunity for everyone. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to hold a reasonable debate and arrive at this kind of national consensus without this kind of separatist agitations. My sense is that if the roads are properly reconstructed across the country, if we are able to have equal opportunities to schools, if young people can leave Abia State and set up their lives in Katsina State without being discriminated against, we have a larger space in which to actualize our dreams. But that is not the sense now. People seem to believe that if I go to Borno State, I'll be treated as an outsider. The notion of non-indigenship in this country is a scandal, and we should be embarrassed by those kind of things. In the U.S., you could leave Dakota and go to New York, and within 2 months... And
people will say that, there are very, very traditional differences between the U.S. and Nigeria. The very fact that your name is... Dr. Tam-George already says where you come from. People already have a sense of where you originally, originated from. But, you also know, I mean, some of these issues, it would seem you're saying tapers back.
But that seems to... Yes.
You say it seems to say it tapers down back to governance issues and government delivering. From what you know now, I mean, working on the inside of government, how easy is it to marry some of these theories with, the actual deliverance of government?
Mark, well, let me draw from my own personal example outside of government. I did my PhD at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa. When I went to South Africa, I had only $300 in my pocket. But when I went there, there were very competitive awards, scholarship awards. I won 5 of them. And my name was still Austin Tam-George. All the people who constituted the scholarship boards, the scholarship granting teams, didn't care about my name. They didn't care where I came from. The Niger Delta, they didn't care where I came from, Nigeria. I was given those awards, some of them very prestigious awards. Some of them had as much as 40,000, 50,000 rand attached to them. Yearly for 5 years, although I finished the PhD in 3 years. But I had 5 competitive awards, and I was able to complete my PhD without anybody asking me where I was from, what my nationality was, and what my name sounded like. So I believe that if I could have those kind of opportunities in a foreign country like South Africa, we should be able to have those kind of incentives, those kind of non-discriminatory standards here in Nigeria. I do not think that I need to start an agitation for a Niger Delta state or Niger Delta country for me to aim for equal citizenship and free opportunity. So that's what I think. I think that you don't have to be in government for you to be able to understand the logic behind free equal citizenship, equal opportunity for everyone, and the fact that people should feel free to actualize their dreams wherever they live. I believe that this country is able to achieve those kind of ideals without, this kind of separatist tendencies. My suspicion is that...
How easy is it for government to deliver on that? I mean, in a government where sometimes you're also looking at delivering to our citizens or, those who are from here first before we begin to look outside our state.
I believe that those people who are in government, those of us who are at one time or the other in government, ought to rise above those kind of anthropological concerns. I understand perfectly what you're talking about, and I suspect anyone listening to my voice now might just think that I'm just too idealistic. But I recognize, even while I was in government, that sometimes, this kind of primordial ethnographic sentiments come in terms of project allocations, in terms of where you come from, what ministry you should head, what kind of committee you should serve in. Those kind of anthropological reasons ought not to come in. I know that typical politicians will think that a balancing act has to be struck, between how they, juggle some of these balls. But I believe
I've already been wound up, and I need to ask you quickly: do you regret serving in government?
Of course not. I regret. One thing that I will always be grateful for is to have been, invited to serve the people. I'm going to turn 50 this year, and to think that, 50 years after the creation of my state, I was called to serve in such a capacity It was a wonderful privilege, and I thank the governor for giving me such a chance.
And while you thank him, just quickly, what did you mean by the politics of demagoguery?
Well, you know, there are people who believe that loyalty should go unquestionably to them. There are those who believe that loyalty should go to their conscience. There are those who believe that loyalty should go to the state. How you navigate the, the distance between personal loyalty to the state is a tough act. For me, I was always loyal to my conscience, and I wanted simply to serve the people. The conditions will never be perfect because, as I said, politics is an imperfect science. But you see, if you go into the public space, I think you place yourself on a certain kind of pedestal, and you come under a disproportionate amount of scrutiny. You want to be able to serve the people, imperfect as the situation might be. And once you determine in your own judgment that it was time to leave, I think you should have the dignity to exit so that others can continue their service.
Well, Dr. Austin Tam-George, we have to thank you very much for coming on Hard Copy.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's the show tonight, everyone. We look forward to your feedback. Please do share your thoughts with us using the handles on your screen. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Maokbe Ogun. See you next week.